Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rayaan Mirza. I am a student at Aitchison College. I'm currently serving as a college prefect at Aitchison. And as part of this sort of discussion, I'd like to share my thoughts on student leadership. Now, over the course of my time, not just at Aitchison, but over the past 12 years, in a couple of different fields, whether that's in community service or co-curriculars or even sports for that matter, I've gotten to know quite a lot about how a leader functions and what are sort of the responsibilities that he faces. And through not just my own experiences, but also of others from whom I've had the pleasure of talking to, whether they may be my seniors, my peers, or even my juniors, I've obviously gotten to learn a lot about what a leader truly is and what sort of responsibilities are sort of accustomed and expected of a leader. Now, to me, leadership is something very important, especially at a high school level, primarily because it teaches you how to actually handle real world scenarios and how you are expected to handle not just problems in the real world, whether it's your job or let's say your family responsibilities, but even at times where others might come to you seeking help. And that is something that is truly priceless for that matter, because obviously this isn't something that you can learn simply by sitting in a classroom or hearing from another person. It's something that you need to experience yourself. And I think that's a very important lesson. Um, to me, there are primarily two scenarios where the qualities of a leader truly stand out. The first being a scenario where your team or the group that you're leading faces a setback or a problem that at times they themselves might not see a clear solution to. And in that scenario, it's not just the responsibility of the leader to ensure that they get back up, but for there to be a sense of accountability and responsibility amongst the members of the team, for them to realize where the mistake happened. And through your guidance and through your expertise, you explain to them how to bring about change and how to make sure that that mistake doesn't happen again. But at the same time, thinking of it from a different perspective, it's realizing that your team is truly yours. And even in scenarios where they may have committed a mistake, it is the responsibility of the leader to ensure that beyond the scope of that limited number of people, there needs to be an understanding that obviously a mistake may happen, but the consequences or the leading outcomes of that problem need to stay within that group. So let's say if there's a disagreement between 2 to 3 people, it is the responsibility of the leader to obviously find a solution to the problem, but also ensure that that problem doesn't go outside of that limited number of people. Obviously, as a leader, you need to value the trust bestowed upon you by those that you are leading. And I think that is, again, a very invaluable and a very priceless lesson that everyone should know of. The other example that I often quote to people that I'm in discussion with when talking about leadership, obviously, is when a leader is tasked with ensuring sustainability and a proper functioning model for the group that he is leading. And in that scenario, a very, very important skill that I hope that I can instill on other people as well is the ability to reason with other people. Obviously, in certain scenarios, common sense kicks in, but at times, a disagreement between two people means that there is no plausible solution that both sides are willing to agree upon. And in those scenarios, the ability to persuade, to actually come up with a solution that creates a common ground for both the parties involved, is a skill that is essential for any situation, whether that be resolving a disagreement in the playground or even reaching democratic solutions in politics or bureaucracy. I think that is something that remains on the same format across all platforms. For myself personally, having been a part of not just the administrative body at Aitchison College, but also the president of the Science Society, as well as the president of Manzil Parwaaz, which is a community service initiative, I feel that you get to learn a lot just by going through the experience, where leadership isn't necessarily experienced just by the person who is at the top of the hierarchy, but even someone who is just starting out with an organization or even for a project. You can showcase your qualities of leadership by stepping outside of your comfort zone and helping others beyond the scope of your own responsibilities. So let's say if you have an assignment due, and obviously you have an entire class that is working with you on the same assignment. And let's say you've been skilled enough to have completed the assignment before other people. So a good leader, or at least someone who showcases qualities of leadership, would be someone who, after completing his own assignment, would go beyond his own scope and try to help others who may be lacking behind in a particular subject. that I think is also a very clear indication of who a true leader is in that scenario. And that is the reason why, amongst my peers and my juniors especially, I try to instill this quality as much as possible for them to go beyond their own comfort zone and to explore what it truly means to be a leader. That can be as simple as assisting a peer on the field, or even taking part in co-curricular activities for that matter. It is obviously something that you gain uh, and sort of develop a skill in over the course of your time, that you're actually trying and sort of putting yourself out there and taking a part in those activities. Now, seeing that all those qualities are something that are not just talked about but actually experienced, I hope that a lot more people, especially at a high school level, can at least start thinking of what it truly means to be a leader, and hopefully, inshallah, in the future, become leaders of this nation as a whole.